This week's Torah portion is Parshat Re'eh, and it opens with dramatic language that presents a dramatic dichotomy. Re'eh anochi noten lefnechem. See, on this day I set before you blessing and curse. What is the blessing? What is the curse? Et habracha. The blessing is asher tishmeu al mitzvot Hashem. If you obey, listen to the commandments of the Lord your God. And what's the curse? V'haklala im lo tishmeu al mitzvot Hashem. If you don't listen to the mitzvot of Hashem. Rashi, in a very, very short and cryptic comment, hones in on a subtle difference, but very important difference in the way the blessing and the curse are presented in these verses. The blessing is presented, et habracha asher tishma'u, that you shall listen, and the curse is presented, im lo tishma'u, if you do not listen. And in one of her most brilliant comments, which I speak about not quite every year, but almost every year, Nechama Leibovitz connects that Rashi to the Gemara in Kedushin, which describes different types of transactions, different types of agreements, different types of arrangements that can be made when transferring and swapping obligations and responsibilities. And al manat, on condition of, that Rashi says is implicit in our parsha. The blessing is almanat asher tishmeu, on condition that you listen, is the type of transaction in which the item is given prior to payment. And so what Nechama Leibovitz is suggesting is that there isn't really a parallel between blessing and curse. The blessing already exists. We've already been given the bracha to be alive, to live and to breathe, to inhabit this world as a human being, certainly as a Jew, is to have been given tremendous bracha. The bracha is around us, and that then causes us to have a responsibility to listen to the mitzvot. Elsewhere in the Torah, we have a more simplistic reward-punishment scheme that's mapped out. We'll have, in very graphic detail, a very dramatic example of that in Parshat Ki Tavo, in the Tochacha, just in a few weeks. But this is something different, okay, according to Rashi, especially as understood by Nechama Leibovitz. This isn't a reward and punishment system being set up. According to Rashi, this is just an acknowledgement. The Torah is telling us to open our eyes and see, re'eh, that we live in a world of bracha, and that obligates us to do the mitzvot that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that God set out for us. The Malbim says something somewhat different. According to Malbim, writing in the 19th century, the mitzvot themselves are what cause the bracha, okay, in a way that is not dependent on any divine reward or divine intervention to reward us for our mitzvah observance. The mitzvot themselves create a world of blessing. They create a well-ordered society. They create good, strong relationships among people and between people and God, and that naturally and automatically results in a world of bracha without any need for any special magical intervention. That's the Malbim's take on this phrasing. The bracha is asher tishmeu. The bracha is if you that you shall, on condition that you listen. I think this is particularly meaningful in a year like this one because it reverses the understanding that we often have between reward and punishment, mitzvot, seeing God, blessing, okay? The causality actually is much more complicated with this understanding. And we need that more complicated understanding during these very, very challenging times that we've lived through and endured these past months, and that it seems we are to endure more hard times to come. Living in a world of bracha can be a matter of perspective. We can choose to focus on and recognize the bracha that has been given to us, the blessings that are at our disposal, and we can take advantage of them, take advantage of the opportunities that exist even in these legitimately very, very hard, challenging, painful, frightening times. Nonetheless, there's bracha around us as well. And we can choose to focus on that bracha and cultivate the sense of gratitude for those moments of bracha that we can still seize, for those elements of bracha that still exist even in a painful, shattered, frightening, confusing world. And this pasuk, these psukim, these verses are saying mitzvah observance is one response to recognizing those moments of bracha. I would say further, mitzvah observance can help us see the bracha. Okay, mitzvah observance allows us to live in a world infused with God consciousness. Okay, what we eat and what we say and how we say it and when, how we go about our lives in this world, the things we notice, okay, is infused with God consciousness when one lives a life of Torah and mitzvot. And that God consciousness can help us see those moments of bracha, which then can reinforce the mitzvah observance in a virtuous cycle, which hopefully can really help our spirits as well as actually make the world a better place, right? As Malbim says, whether you see it or not, the mitzvah observance does in fact lead to a kinder, more compassionate, more just world, which is its own reward. So I wish you a Shabbat of being able to see the blessings that have been given to us, which is not to ignore the suffering, not to ignore the challenges. They're really, really real, okay? Real hardship that all of us in various ways are going through. But there's also bracha that's given to us, and I think there's benefit in seeing that blessing, responding to it in gratitude, reinforcing that blessing by improving the world through our mitzvah observance, and then seeing even more bracha by carefully, conscientiously trying to listen to the mitzvot. I think that also is a way to help the world and help our mood, and it's also, that's the reality as well. The reality isn't only dark and grim. The reality is also one of bracha. So I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. Look forward to seeing you online, in person, as circumstances allow. And please reach out if I can be of service to you in any way whatsoever. Shabbat Shalom.